So for this past week's recent lesson on engagement, the first thing that I found that was interesting during that time was that for the net effects of college, volunteering in community, taking volunteering community and then trying to correlate that to being politically and civically involved was more likely, it was more likely. But now, in these recent decades, studies show that there's lower involvement rates than in past decades. Given that we have experienced a global health pandemic, but also a racial pandemic, I was assuming that this would be higher, or I guess like still more likely. Because our political sphere has not necessarily gotten better, and if anything, with the recent Roe v. Wade, a lot of these different issues that are coming to light now that have always been in the light, but just more focused. I just think that point is really interesting. Secondly, so education negatively impacts job satisfaction. And so my colleagues mentioned that there is a raise of expectations regarding rewards, an increased likelihood of workload. And I think that continues to harp on, especially for student affairs wise, like we have this master's degree, but if anything, that kind of gets our foot in the door, and then we're given all of this work because they know the skills and things that we've gone through in our program, or at least some of that. And so it's just kind of like, here you are, take on this autonomy, take on this responsibility, and I trust you full throttle. Whereas if someone did not necessarily have a master's degree, I think it'd be interesting looking at what are their job duties, but also how is their satisfaction in their job? Are they working as hard? Are they working just as hard, or is there a little bit less of a expectation there? And then third, so college-going women have higher mortality rates than men. And so that's just kind of interesting because, you think that women, we get more college degrees. We're usually more successful academically than men. And so to say that we will die at a quicker rate than men, I wonder, I don't know. It just kind of makes you think well then, who or how has that metric or how has that been assessed? I wonder what that looked like being assessed. Is this over a couple of years period, or is this just within the past 5 years? And so maybe just some more feedback on that, because that's an interesting piece to mention, especially in a research book. So all in all, volunteerism in the community was supposed to positively correlate to being politically and civically inclined, but that has decreased. And so, yeah. Secondly, education negatively impacts job satisfaction. And third, college-going women have higher mortality rates than men. Thank you for watching.